Bruce Wayne may appear to be a wealthy playboy, but beneath this facade, his true identity is that of the Batman, waging an endless war against crime. Join the Caped Crusader in Batman The Audio Adventures, the first scripted audio original featuring Batman and his villainous rogues gallery in a world premiere story of life and death in Gotham City, debuting exclusively on HBO Max. This rollicking adventure, told across 10 episodes, is written and directed by Emmy winner Dennis McNicholas, includes devilishly delightful original music by Doug Bossy, and performances by Rosario Dawson, John Leguizamo, Chris Parnell, Melissa Villaseñor, Seth Meyers, Jason Sudeikis, Brooke Shields, Fred Armisen, and many, many more. Go to hbomax.com/Batman Audio Adventures for more and stream Batman, The Audio Adventures only on HBO Max. Oh, you muted yourself. I forgot that technology exists. Use the cough button. Wow.
Yep.
Welcome to Countdown to Infinity, a Marvel's Avengers podcast. We talk all things cinematic universe. That means the films and the Disney Plus shows, and we're smack dab in the middle of our Hawkeye watch along, the new Disney Plus series, and we're doing episode 2, Hide and Seek, one of the two that came out for the premiere, a little twofer, a real Black Friday buy one get one with Hawkeye. You got episode 1 and episode 2, and my name's Emmanuel, and we have a very special guest. It's Brent from Director Showdown. Brent, welcome to Hawkeye.
Hey, it's good to be here, man. I don't think I've been on this specific pod since Captain America, the First Avenger. I think
so long ago, and that was recorded concurrently with the events of the film. So that was the 40s.
It was 41, 42. We had to take a kind of break in the middle.
Yeah. Just like Captain America himself, he took a big long break.
He did
in the middle. So this is Hawkeye. It is the newest and maybe the first of this holiday type Disney Plus series. But Brent, have you been watching all the MCU shows, or is it too many?
Yeah, I've been watching all of them. I've seen all of the MCU shows. Kind of a different question if you're asking if it might be too many at some point. It's so much, but no, I've honestly enjoyed all of them. I'm trying to think of I think Loki might be my favorite, just because I love the kind of like almost Doctor Who adjacent, like wacky kind of cosmic stuff. A lot of it reminded me of Thor Ragnarok, which is one of my favorite kind of MCU styles, I guess. I love when they go, heavy into the sci-fi and they make it a little campy. But I've been watching all of them, and I'm really digging Hawkeye so far because it's a little more human, a little more grounded. I think the most so far of any of the shows. Even Falcon Winter Soldier. I think even maybe a little more than that one. So so I've been digging all the shows. There's basically always one to watch.
Yeah, now
it's like when one ends, a movie comes out, and then when you finish the movie, the next week there's a show. No, I have been enjoying them for the most part.
I wonder how that will go moving forward, because I think when we watched Black Widow, the Loki episode, I think it may have been the finale, where all the timelines might have split up, happened kind of around that time. And so in terms of your attention, you're like, should I focus on this prequel, or should I be worried about the fact that all the timelines are now merging concurrently? It's pretty interesting. And Hawkeye's final couple episodes will be around the time Spider-Man No Way Home comes out. So we'll have something really similar again. See if they're even connected at all. It's a plethora.
That's an interesting thing to think about. Like I did notice it was the one that you guys already did an episode on, but the MCU is very much staying in the like when this thing comes out, that's when it takes place
Yeah.
in the MCU, because they have like the 2012 flashback with Avengers, and then it cuts to today and it's like 2021,
Mm,
and she's, you know, in her 20s, early 20s, and so they're very much sticking to trying to keep like the continuity around when things are, you know, coming out and when
yeah.
they're like showing. So yeah, I'm curious to see yeah, where kind of like
Ooh.
Hawkeye falls in the big canon of the timeline,
I'm
which yeah.
It's crazy too because Hawkeye and Spider-Man are both in New York currently. So I'm might be wild. I mean, in New York
Mm.
always with superheroes, somehow there is still crime happening when there are literally hundreds of superheroes in New York City constantly.
Hmm.
For some reason, some people are still trying to steal purses, knowing that you've got like crazy mutants or
Yeah.
aliens able to just stop you. Hmm.
Yeah, I just don't know why you even try. It's just
Yeah,
why even gonna like try to rob a bank or like steal a purse from an old lady when Spider-Man's around the corner? I mean, I guess their thinking is like, well, they have bigger fish to fry. Like even
yeah,
Hawkeye, a family man, is fighting Thanos. So
true.
like we could probably, you know, sneak a couple things by, but
Well,
yeah.
this is, I mean, Hawkeye, of course, is one of the main characters in the series. And I really enjoy the fact that we're spending time with characters that don't get much time in the films. Hawkeye, although, has a really big moment in the first Avengers film. But there's also kind of a passing of the torch happening in all of these shows. And even with Hawkeye, what do you think about Kate Bishop and Haley Steinfeld, Brent? I know that you're a fan of the Coen Brothers' True Grit, where she,
Mm.
I believe, got an Oscar nom at like the age of 12 or something crazy like that.
Yeah, yeah, she did. So I love her, like everything I've seen her in. God, what's it called? 17 something 17. Oh, what's that movie called? Um
Edge of 17,
Edge of
17.
17.
Is it
Yeah,
really?
yeah.
Wow,
Edge of
nice.
17. She's so good and so funny in that movie. Um but yeah, like I've liked her since True Grit. She was so good in that movie. And it's just been really cool to see her kind of go from being like a child star into a legitimate like movie star, and kind of like take on the mantle,
Yeah.
you know, of kind of Hawkeye in a sense, because the first episode, it definitely is about Hawkeye, but it's I think a lot more about her,
Mm,
and like she so kind of like you know, very carefully and really well done, like kind of like carries the show, you know,
yeah.
when it's
Yeah.
about her and her family. Yeah.
It's mostly all about, yeah, you said it, her family, some secrets that they may have, some kind of past where she's inspired by Hawkeye, but who knows who's alive and who's dead and what people's motives are. You're right, it is kind of like a drama in that sense for her. But
Hmm.
I'm well, let's talk about this episode. This is Hide and Seek. This is the
Hmm.
second part, I guess, of the premiere. We already have Hawkeye and Kate Bishop meeting for the first time. And it seems like he is trying to keep her safe, but she's perfectly capable of doing her own snooping around. We're still mostly with the tracksuit mob or whatever they're called, the bro guys.
Tracksuit Mafia.
Yeah, tracksuit
Oh, those
mafia.
guys. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
People don't know this, but Brent and I are wearing those tracksuits right now and
The same matching tracksuit.
the
Yep.
same match. And we're part of that gang now, bro. We're
Oh, hell yeah, bro.
I like it. It's funny. And but what'd you think about this episode? About some of the revelations, and we'll talk about that new character at the end of this one. But what'd you think about Hide and Seek?
Yeah, this one was really good. I think you know, I was a little surprised that they literally don't even meet until the end of the first episode. But this one was just like a really good kind of character focused episode of kind of like having, you know, Hawkeye and her kind of bounce off each other, and having I still kind of can't believe how important the Nomad, or no, it's not Nomad, the Nomad
Ronan.
suit, Ronin, the Ronin suit
You're talking
is
about
like,
Frances McDormand from Nomadland. She
yeah,
is
exactly. She's the
a part of this.
MacGuffin. If you were to tell me that
Yeah.
Frances McDormand herself shitting in a bucket was the big MacGuffin. No, but yeah, I mean that suit from Avengers Endgame has turned out to be a very important thing to Hawkeye, because I think, and I wonder if the show is going to get into this, but like he's trying to kind of like cover up his dark past, because like his family's back, and he's been a vigilante, kind of like killing people, in kind of his grief for a while. But
Yeah.
yeah, he's just trying to cover that up, but he's also like, fuck, this like girl is like mixed up in all of the shit that I kind of created. So there's clearly like a backstory there with him and in the bros,
Yeah.
that I think they're gonna get into. But yeah, their dynamic is really cool. Pizza Dog is the best. I love that, and yeah, I think it was a really fun episode. Yeah.
I thought that it was really interesting to have his family leave New York because it kind
Mm.
of sets the clock or the countdown in a weird way, which actually works for a holiday movie.
Yeah,
Be ho-
6 days. Yeah,
be
you got to be
home be
home.
home
Yeah.
for Christmas, and I like that because even then you're kind of falling into this trope of a holiday or a Christmas movie, which I think is so clever.
Mhm.
Which obviously he's going to be tied up all the way up until like the last minute. I think
Christmas Eve. Yep.
we can already see that happening. And then Haley Steinfeld, I thought that there's a moment in this where she fights Tony. Oh, is that his name? I forgot. Yes, Tony.
Yeah, yeah.
The fiance of her mother, and they fence. And I was like, okay, this is fun. She's kind of testing his limits, but then she lunges at him without his mask on, and I guess could have just killed him.
Yeah.
And he has to reveal that he's a master swordsman. Brent, this is kind of a spoilerific territory, but that I think is a big clue
Yeah.
for his character. But there's a lot of really cool moments like that where you're getting just small pieces. He also has a butterscotch from Armand's house, so he was there, you
Yeah.
know.
Yep.
So
Yep. Yep.
I like how they're letting us kind of sit in these moments a little bit, and it's not as manic or not as fast as a movie, which I guess is like it's not even a hot take that everyone says, you know, TV shows are good because they take longer.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
this show is good because it takes longer. It's nice. It's a nice breath of fresh air.
Yeah. It really draws things out, and I didn't even mention the LARPing stuff,
Oh yeah,
which
huge
is a
part.
large chunk of this episode, but which I just found really charming. Like I think this show knows kind of how well to balance, like, we all know Avengers movies, and we know how big they can get, and how, cool Hawkeye can be in, a $300 million blockbuster movie. But I think putting those characters in very kind of like normal human situations, is really effective. And I think the LARPing stuff where he has to like get his Ronin suit,
Yeah.
from that guy, was just was really fun. And he has to like work with the guy to be like, he's like, you have to let me kill you because you're Hawkeye, and that's gonna like give me so much clout. And he's like,
Yeah.
fine. Like he's just kind of like over it. He's just like, I just got to get this thing and like get out of here. But yeah, all that stuff like works really
Yeah.
well. Yeah.
That I can't believe I forgot about LARPing. And also it seems like it's a pretty specific LARPing community of policemen and firemen or something. I don't know if you caught that. And I was like, what?
Yeah, like
That's like a
service
niche.
people. Yeah.
That's like a niche of a niche. But
Yeah.
I will say that stuff was fun and funny and kept things light. But the mechanism to get there was, I think, a little interesting. He goes to get the Ronin suit. The Ronin suit isn't there. He sees a sticker on the fire truck about LARPing, and
That was a little bit. That
goes
was a little. I was
online
like,
and
okay,
sees a
Hawkeye.
video of a guy with the Ronin suit on
Yeah,
talking about
yeah,
LARPing. And I was like, what a bunch of convenient things happening
yeah.
for Hawkeye. But
Very
yeah,
much. Yeah, yeah.
those moments were really fun. And I think there's like a really prolonged sequence where he's walking and he's kind of really kicking everyone's fake butt, I guess, because he fought Thanos, and here he is with LARPers.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that was really cool, and it seems like in a very like TV show manner, he's kind of softening, and he's kind of gaining new friends. But I also feel like those LARPers. We haven't seen the last of the LARP. I bet you anything they'll come back or
Oh.
something like that because that's a pretty classic, final episode type of thing. And
Yeah.
I didn't even think about the fact that he seems like it's kind of perfect for him because his weapon of choice is such a medieval thing, like a bow and arrow. And
Yeah.
here he is with a bunch of medieval people, but with foam swords and stuff. It's a
Yeah. I mean, and he did get very proficient with the sword, as we saw in Endgame,
mm,
and even in the first episode, I think it was with his Ronin sword that
yeah.
retracts that
Oh yeah.
Tony took, right?
And it's, I mean, here's what I'll say. Well, do you care about some spoilery stuff or not really, Brent?
Oh, not really.
It's
No.
okay. All right, everyone, skip forward like a minute or so. But
Okay.
Tony's his alias is the swordsman, who is like a master swordsman. That's his superpower. Um,
Okay.
so
Okay.
that'll be, at least in the comic books. We'll have to see. I mean, Marvel doesn't have to do that, but
Yeah, they
he
always
now has
remix
like
stuff, but
he now
yeah.
has the coolest sword around. So, and it's
Yeah.
also like Hawkeye's sword. Anyways, welcome back from that spoiler break. But I mean, I don't even think, because we're gonna end up talking about the character at the end of this episode, but a lot of these characters are really big. Well, I don't want to say big. They are characters with arcs in the comic books, and
Yeah.
the names and the symbolism are they're very meticulously placed for those types of things, so
Yeah.
that they can introduce some. They're all backdoor pilots. Every character is a backdoor pilot to some Disney Plus thing.
Vera Farmiga getting
Yeah,
her own series.
the
Pizza
LARP
Dog,
guy,
his own
Pizza Dog.
movie.
Yeah,
Well, see, that's kind of what I'm excited about with this show is that as time moves on, we get away from a lot of the kind of stories that I know, at least like somewhat know, like the Ultrons and the Thanoses, and we get into like Eternals, and we get into Hawkeye stuff, which like I think this show is based, or isn't it based on like Matt Fraction's Hawkeye run, which
yeah.
I think it is, because yeah, Pizza Dog I think is from his run. I think Tracksuit Mafia. I
I
could
think
be
the
totally wrong.
only big difference. Well, there's a couple differences, but the big thing is it's just set in this time in the MCU where there was a snap or something. Like the thing that
Yeah,
everyone's
yeah.
dealing with, which is the aftermath of people coming back.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And so like yeah, and I never read that kind of run of Hawkeye comics, but it seems like they're taking from those, and so I really know nothing about these characters. Even Kate Bishop I know nothing about, like you know, what was it? Falcon and the Winter Soldier, like the Falcon Captain America stuff. I didn't really read. That's pretty modern. Um, more recent comics that have done that stuff. But so I'm just excited to like see how these movies and shows are adapting those comics, because like yeah, it's a lot of like passing the baton, passing the torch to your Kate Bishops and your Falcons, and
Yeah.
or Captain America. But yeah, so it's going to be exciting to see how they do that. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the ending of this because Clint decides to be captured on purpose to kind of uncover who the who is behind I guess the tracksuit gang, and who has his sword, and what's going on with these illegal groups. And we meet in the final moments of this episode the puppet master, we assume, and that is Echo, played by Alakwa Cox, who is a deaf Native American character played by an actual deaf Native American in this. Someone who we already know has a confirmed Disney Plus series and has
Yeah.
kind of a in the comic books has a pretty tortured past. Her father is Kingpin from Daredevil. Her she is the first she
What?
is the first
I didn't know
person
that. Oh
to
my
wear the
god.
Ronin thing. She's like friends with Doctor Strange. She fights Silver Samurai from like the Wolverine movie that we saw, or the maybe Wolverine 2 or 3.
Yeah.
But she's a very, I think, critical character, and here she is in the MCU. I think that John and Andrew, I talked to them a little bit yesterday, and they think this is like a giant giant reveal, maybe one of the biggest in Disney Plus, and something that may bridge some of that Netflix stuff into the
Yeah.
into the Disney Plus stuff. What do you think about Echo? Echo.
Yeah, I mean, we just saw like her face, kind of like we didn't get too much, but I mean, that is exciting. I didn't know she was Kingpin's daughter, but I have heard some rumors about certain actors or actresses who are in
Yeah.
the Echo show that very much may feel like a bridging of the gap between Netflix and Disney Plus.
Wow.
So that has me really, really excited. There were obviously already those kind of conversations with Spider-Man happening a little bit, and characters that may or may not appear in that. But yeah, I feel like Feige and Disney, I think, wanted an organic way to kind of do that kind of combination, and I think that they have it with the multiverse stuff that's going to happen. But
Yeah.
yeah, as far as Echo, I know basically nothing about the character, but I think it's super cool that that they're getting like a real like deaf actress and
Yeah.
to
I mean,
portray that character. Yeah.
I think it would make sense if she ends up with the Ronin suit at some point because she kind of
Mm,
originates it in the comic books. But I
okay.
am also kind of interested in her morality because she could be, and it seems like she's set up to be kind of a criminal or a villain. So I'd be interested to know if she's going to have a turn of, some kind of turn where she is good, or I don't know, and I mean, we talked before the pod that Florence Pugh is slated to be in this series Hawkeye, so we'll have to see what happens with kind of this next generation of like
Oh yeah,
great
because she
fighters.
thinks. Oh my gosh, that's right. Because yeah, in Black Widow, it's set up that she thinks that Hawkeye killed her sister. Right? Isn't that the
Yeah,
hook of that? Yeah.
that's true, and I think this is the perfect. Oh yeah, I
Oh
totally
man.
forgot about that element, but this is going to be a very emotional
I mean, yeah,
series.
it's
I
gonna.
think,
I feel
yeah.
like it's gonna be like Kate Bishop versus I forget her name. Yes, I forget her name. Something
Yelena.
Russian.
Yeah, I know.
Yelena. Yeah, something like
The
that.
new Black Widow. Yeah,
Florence Pugh versus
yeah,
Haley Seinfeld. Yeah.
and that just makes you think that I'm not even going to try to say her name, but Julia Louis Dreyfus's character is
Mm,
also going to be in this. It's almost like, well, I don't even understand how she couldn't, because she promises Yelena at the end of Black Widow revenge. So,
right.
I mean, if she's in New York, it's kind of their thing. But I mean, this is just, I think, what is happening in the series. And I know we're like maybe 5 episodes beyond the one we just watched already, but it is
Yeah.
exciting to think about kind of the expansion of this world. And we kind of joked about how New York is just filled with superheroes already, but I mean, it's also good to have. I What do you think about the stakes of the Hawkeye show? Because we aren't yet at like a world ending moment, which I like a lot, especially after watching. And this isn't to say I don't like them, but Black Widow, Eternals,
Yeah.
Loki, even WandaVision, like those were world ending kind of calamities that were about to happen. But what do you think about the stakes of Hawkeye?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the things that I like about it the most is that it feels very grounded and kind of human. And I honestly hope that we don't get to the kind of like MCU third act thing that always happens. And it even happens on the shows too, because the shows are kind of just like stretched out movies a little bit. I hope it remains a little grounded. Like we were talking about it a little bit, but I think this show so far reminds me more of like the Netflix Marvel shows. And it's better than I think most of those. Even though I do love Daredevil and think Daredevil's like still one of the best ones, but
Oh, it's good.
it yeah, like it does feel like that kind of more street level human kind of superhero show. So I kind of hope it keeps that and doesn't lose that, especially if it's doing like a countdown to Christmas and like he has to be home. I hope it doesn't end in like some massive like New York. I don't know, just like some big set piece of like
Yeah.
archers flying off buildings and
Oh
Kate
my
Bishop
gosh.
like
Yeah.
swinging around. You just like don't need that. Like I hope they know that they don't need that anymore.
Brent, I don't think they do
I
because
don't think
all
they
of them.
do. Yeah, yeah,
Falcon and Winter Soldier ends, I think, in New York, maybe a couple streets from where this one ends in a big
yeah,
kind of CGI fight. But who knows? I mean, yeah, I think I would like for it to end. I think I like the Trojan horse of it all in like a Christmas feeling thing. So I hope it has an
yeah,
ending that's really sentimental and maybe is Clint at around his Christmas tree and Kate is there and their family now. I also like kind of the overall thing that I'm sensing and that's the softening of Clint and maybe his acceptance and his kind of I don't
yeah,
know. And I because I mean Kate even talks about having like a rebranding problem or something with
yeah.
his character and I was like okay like
It's yeah,
if
meta.
she is the next Hawkeye, she's going to be pretty different. And you know what I just remembered right now talking about Clint is he oh my gosh, you can kind of see the tea leaves here in your little cup of tea.
Yeah.
Um but Clint is losing his hearing, so he's learning or he learns sign language to talk to his son and his family. And Echo is deaf, which means
Oh,
Clint will have this kind of ability to communicate with her on a different level than Kate or anyone else because he's
I don't
about to
know if
lose
I
his hearing.
caught. Wow. Well, I caught the hearing loss thing, which I
Yeah,
think is an interesting
yeah,
development for him. And I think it's in this episode where they show the like quick flashback sequences of like Avengers movies
yeah,
and of like huge explosions. And it's like, yeah, no
yeah.
shit, he would lose his hearing.
He's human. He's one of the few actual humans. He loses
Yeah.
his hearing in the comic books. This makes sense. But yeah,
Oh,
he
okay.
he signs to his son, I think, when they're leaving.
Oh, I didn't
And
catch that. Yeah.
I'm actually really excited to see how far they take that relationship and kind of that ability to kind of it seems like connect with Echo. Who again, we're like I'm projecting this
Yeah.
based on the 5 seconds she's on screen too. So who
Yeah, I mean,
knows?
she does. It is inferred that she is, possibly the leader, I guess, of the tracksuit mafia.
Yeah,
Which, I mean, they are a lot of fun. Those guys. I
yeah,
just think I love them as a like group of villains where we're used to kind of kind of nameless or kind of like CG mobs of robots or monsters, whatever. Um, but I just love the kind of grounded nature of just like these fucking bros
yeah.
in
These brutes.
tracksuits.
Yeah.
Yeah, who are throwing Molotov cocktails and yeah.
Super silly and whatever. But Brent, what are you looking forward to? Now the timing's kind of weird. The third episode came out today while we're recording, so a lot of listeners might have seen it. I don't know if people stay up
Mm.
until midnight. I know some that do, but Brent, what are you looking forward to in that third episode that you can literally watch right after this record?
And I think I just might. I'm really
Oh,
curious to see what happens next. Yeah, I'm excited to see what the deal is with Echo. If she's some kind of like morally gray character who's kind of using people to to get. I don't know. Yeah, like I'm curious to see what her intentions and her motivations are. And just like more kind of Hawkeye, Kate Bishop stuff because I just think like it very much almost feels uh like a Shane Black Christmas thing.
yeah,
Less funny if I'm being honest, but still funny. But just like a kind of like a buddy duo thing of like people who don't really see eye to eye and who are kind of bouncing off each other. He's kind of like the old grizzled veteran and she's kind of like new and excited and passionate about it. But
yeah,
yeah, I'm excited to see more of their dynamic, more of the bros, and more of Echo, and also yeah, I guess her mom and her boyfriend's what's his name, Tony, I keep
Tony,
forgetting his
yeah.
name. Yeah, what the deal is with Tony. And yeah, the big mystery there. So I'm assuming we'll get more information on all that in the next episode.
Yeah, I think I'm really excited, and I feel like there is going to be a lot more Kate Bishop. I feel like we're gonna I think it's just going to expand. I mean, the webs will just get bigger and bigger and bigger, especially after we find out what's going
Spider
on with
webs.
spider webs, baby. And
We'll
I mean,
see.
I really feel like there's going to be some connection. We already talked about the Black Widow thing, but I mean, it's totally possible we get that Rogers musical in our Spider-Man movie. Who knows? We're literally only 2 weeks away from that, and but yeah, we're really excited. So we'll definitely talk more Hawkeye. But Brent, we've come to the end of this ep. What do you have to plug?
Oh man, yeah. So go listen to Director Showdown, a podcast my buddy Adam and I do. We are currently talking Zack Snyder and Michael Bay. I
Mm,
think our next episode we're gonna record is gonna be that Snyder cut of Batman v Superman: Dawn of
wow,
Justice.
wow.
So yeah, but we've been talking, a lot of Michael Bay's biggest hits. We just had Delphin on for Transformers.
Robots in disguise.
Robots in Disguise. And it was a lot of fun. And so yeah, go check that out. And yeah, it's about it. I think all the Patreon stuff, all the
Yeah,
Delphin Pod Patreon stuff is a lot of fun.
yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah, we've been talking top fives. We talked about Dune for a little bit. But Brent, who do you think would make a better Christmas movie? Christmas action movie, I guess. But you think Michael Bay or Zack Snyder? Who would make a good holiday watch
oh my
themed
gosh.
around themed around the holidays and Christmas? Maybe set in well, it seems like Michael Bay would set his in sunny Los Angeles or something.
See, I feel like it's got to be Snyder because I also feel, and I haven't seen this movie, but I feel like the Guardians of Gahul.
Ooh, yes. Moon blinked.
I think that movie is Christmas adjacent, or maybe I'm mixing it up with something else. It feels Christmassy. Yeah.
There's snow. I'll say that.
There's snow and there's owls, and both of
What do you need?
those
That is the
right
holidays
there
right
with
there.
Christmas. Yeah.
Well,
I think Snyder. Yeah.
I can't wait for his Snyder film. Oh, it looks like he's remaking Miracle on 34th Street.
Oh,
Where
let me
oh
see
no,
that.
it looks
Uh-oh.
like Santa is having an existential crisis about how he won't die and he's invincible and he'll outlive Mrs. Claus.
Oh shit.
Oh
And
boy.
he's fantasizing about being in an anime.
Yeah, he wants to be in anime. He hates kids now.
Uh-oh.
It's rough stuff. Well, let us know what you think about that movie that I just pitched. I'm just kidding. We'll see you next week for another episode recapping episode 3 of Hawkeye, and then soon Spider-Man. And I will say, if you're a fan of Spider-Man, we've got some other Spider-Man stuff coming down the pipe to prepare you for maybe plural Spider-Mans in the No Way Home movie. But we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.